Friends, Brickey here. Welcome to our weekly construction update where we go all around the park breaking down all the new projects. And friends, it looks like we can expect a miracle with the Matterhorn. Everyone else spotted something above these construction walls. And now we're here a few days later and it's missing. What could that mean about this massive construction project happening between Radiator Springs and Avengers Campus? Friends, there's a new sign on Main Street that has a couple of details that we need to break down. Let's go check in on Pirates and see, does it look better now that Lightning Lane's gone? My prediction is going to be absolutely. All right, friends, I am racing over to what has become the most exciting project at the resort at the moment, and it strangely was a project that I wasn't excited about at all. But there is a familiarity to seeing dirt getting moved, and what I'm getting ready to see for the first time, friends, we are going vertical. And that's exciting because now we can kind of start to see what's happening. We made some sacrifices for this advancement in the park, so I bet a lot of guests like me are really hoping that not one, but two new attractions are going to make us feel like it was worth what we gave up. And I don't think most people would keep the trolley over two new Avengers attractions, but some of the more hardcore people would probably argue with me on that one. I can actually see the tip of it from all the way back here. This is exciting, feeling like old times. Now my camera won't be able to show you what I can see through this mesh scrim, but man, oh man, it is dirt, it is elevated, and it looks huge from standing right on the edge of Avengers Campus. This has got me wondering, how will we get back over to Radiator Springs? Will there still be a path that takes us between the two lands? And if there is a path, where will it be? Because I'm starting to doubt that it's going to be right here. Like, we might go up in here somewhere to get back over to Radiator Springs. This is fascinating. So if you ever remember standing in line over here, coming by these three seats, the water refueling station, when you were waiting for the Doctor Strange show, that is the area. And then on the interior, as we've been tracking, this is looking the same. But oh man, there's no coverage at all on the other side of it. Wild. This is so awesome. All right, now that we've seen it over on the backside, let's head over to Radiator Springs to see what it looks like from the opposite direction. I feel like we might be able to see a little bit more. Very interesting development that we are capturing today. Let me break this down. This is pretty fascinating. Other media outlets, our friends over at Mice Chat and our friends over at WDWNT, both reported that this project had gone vertical. You could see orange structures on the outside of this construction wall. But now I'm here just a few days later, and obviously those have disappeared. So what were we looking at? Because obviously we weren't looking at the framing for new buildings. This indicates to me that the structures that we saw were all part of the regrading of the land. Because what I could see through the scrim, it is at a complete different height than what we're standing on. And I also noticed at the back end of the Toy Story parking lot, an enormous mound of dirt. I don't know if it came from here or if it's getting hauled into here, but we definitely have some reshaping of the earth going on, which I think will address one of fans' biggest concerns about this project and its next door neighbor, Radiator Springs. I know a lot of fans are really worried about how this will interfere with the sight lines of Radiator Springs, which we can all agree upon is an absolutely flawless designed land. So my question is, are we seeing a significant regrading of the land all around here to ensure that the modern sci-fi version of Avengers Campus doesn't interfere with the beautiful landscaping of Radiator Springs? Are we seeing an extra effort to create a controlled atmosphere where each land blends into one another but doesn't ruin the other? I feel like I'm seeing an extra amount of effort here. We will obviously keep tracking this to see where all this goes. And I feel like there's enough space in here where they can live as neighbors and live in harmony, because they have such a huge empty canvas to work with. As we can see from our friends over at Mice Chat, that there is enough land here to position everything in a way to where both work together. But I have a big question for you. If you were in charge, would you have given all of this space to Avengers Campus, or would you have given it all to expanding Radiator Springs? Or would you have divided it up one and one? New attraction for Avengers, new attraction for Cars Land. How would you have used this space? Because obviously Disney went all in on Marvel and Avengers. But I feel like some of you might have a different opinion, and I always love to hear your thoughts on the evolution of the park. Okay, let's move on. A little disappointed that I didn't see what everybody else saw, but I think what we captured was the next piece of the story. Let's keep going. I have to confess, I am shocked how well San Francisco came together, and also how well I can now pronounce that word. But I would say that it's maybe a time for a decoration refresh, because some of them are starting to look very, very sun-faded. But who knows? Maybe that's part of the authenticity. But one of my favorite views still kind of exists. This bench here has always been one of my favorite lookout spots, and it's kind of still there. This little cat, still one of my favorite details. Love it. Now, should we be anticipating rock work like we see here on the edge of Paradise Pier to keep the two lands separated? I don't quite think so. There is a possibility that a sci-fi building on the Avengers side would have rock work on the Radiator Springs side. Therefore, a double-layered building, like what we see buildings that face both Adventureland and Frontierland, same structure that tells two stories at the exact same time. And even though rock work bleeding into Avengers Campus wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, sci-fi bleeding into Cars Land would. I feel pretty confident we're not going to see that. Wanted to address it quickly because I know a lot of you have started to show concerns about that. And it's kind of what I like doing as the design guy over here, taking you around the park each week, showing you how it's constantly evolving, constantly changing, and how that also means that the story's changing too. Gotta beat them. But also keep in mind, in this location, we have a main service road that separates this land from the one behind us. So we have a lot more space, which is why they had to go so vertically high to make sure that the sight lines didn't bleed over. The two lands that we're talking about are going to just be right next to each other, which in many ways does make the challenge a little bit more difficult than when you have the space to elongate out your sight lines. Like I said, cannot wait to see how they solve this, but I'll be covering it all along the way with each of you, explaining it step by step. All right, let's move on. I had been waiting to see Rex. I just wanted to see how they pulled off that character. It looks awesome. It looks really, really cool.
Mom is to serve, dependent to protect a room that's filled with toys that you would expect from a ship's ever.
Friends, what do you say we do a quick merch search for some merchandise that I helped design? Friends, I have very exciting news. I worked on all of this new Grizzly Peak merchandise. It just showed up, excited to see it, and everybody who's coming through is complimenting it, and that feels great. Obviously, along with Disney, me and my team over at Lincoln Design Co., we created all of this new merchandise for Grizzly Peak. I hope you enjoy it, and if you want to grab it, I don't think it's going to last long because everybody who's coming in is getting something. So hopefully, more jobs to come. There's this fun hoodie that the crew did, as well as a crew neck, and it looks like a beach towel has come out, but the design suite was a lot bigger than this, so hopefully we'll see new pieces that arrive to the park soon. At Lincoln Design Co., we have a team effort, so there were several different members of the team that worked on it, and I was one of those, so don't think that I did it in isolation by myself, because it always takes a team to make the best work possible, and that's why I love being on the team. And obviously, big thanks to our creative partners over at Disney, who are some of the funnest folks to work with in the industry. Amazing properties, amazing ideas, and really great creative collaborators. They know what they're looking for, but they give you space to try something new, and I always appreciate that. So if you want some really cool looking DCA merchandise designed by someone who loves the park and knows its little subtle details, hopefully this is something that you'll enjoy. Can't wait to see people wearing this all around the resort. Okay, let's move on. Obviously just had to celebrate that small life victory. Nice. And yes, the name of the attraction is Grizzly River Run. I'm so used to saying Grizzly Peak that I have a hard time, but don't worry, all of the merchandise has the proper name on it. All right, friends, we have worked our way around DCA. I have to say that with 4th of July being here, arguably the biggest summer weekend that exists, and with the 70th anniversary less than 2 weeks away, DCA is in immaculate condition. Really only one big project, but Disneyland is constantly evolving. New things are always happening, and I believe later on in this very month, things are going to get shooken up all over again, which is the fun of this series, following along with the Sim City nature of the parks and how it's constantly evolving. All right, let's head over to Disneyland and see what's happening over there this week. Now, I already know what's waiting for me on the tunnel on the right. Something new showed up, and I'm so excited that over here on our weekly construction update, we were able to predict what this sign was going to look like. So if you watched last week's video, I showed you this invitation to a D23 party that's happening the day after it opens up to the public. Sweet. And I questioned, would this be the color scheme and motif of the new sign? And turns out it is. Okay, the new sign is here, and obviously I have some design thoughts. Interesting that they went with a blue and gold versus the original version that was more like a cranberry red and gold. That's gonna take a minute for me to get used to, but I don't think that necessarily one color was better than the other. It just feels jarring after seeing that crimson cranberry red there every time you walk through the gate. But because there is double billing, the shape of the sign has changed. And there's a couple of interesting takeaways from this. The one major change that I'm noticing is only Walt's name and Abe's name, the two headlining acts on left and right. That is embossed, meaning that it protrudes out of the sign. But everything in the center of the sign is just flat, printed on the sign. So it's interesting that they didn't make the entire sign three-dimensional, only the performers on the left and right, which this also does indicate, as I have been covering this from the beginning of this announcement, that we're probably looking at a rotating stage. Walt on one side, Mr. Lincoln on the other side. Therefore, after sort of the popularity of Walt dies down, it'll be a rotating show. You know, like maybe at the top of the hour it's Walt, at the bottom of the hour it's Abraham Lincoln. But hey, shout out to Walt Disney, getting to share the stage with his childhood hero. Not many of us will ever get to claim that. As excited as I am for this, and you know I'm very excited, I do want to make one small design critique about this sign. The old sign took up more square footage. Therefore, you couldn't see the sound monitors that are on each side of the roof in front of the Opera House. But now, with the more elongated, skinnier sign that tapers on the left and right, or actually north and south on the street, you can see those monitors. And one of the things that makes Main Street so different than so many other lands inside of Disneyland is it's the one land where you really never see the speakers until you get up in the hub, and then you can see them in the park space. But they're perfectly hidden behind windows, behind shutters, on rooftops. And seeing those two speakers right when you go into Town Square, for somebody who pays attention, I think it instantly kind of breaks the magic of like, oh yeah, there's speakers playing all this music. I mean, obviously you know there's speakers playing the music, but if you don't see them, it allows you to get more lost in the storytelling. Anyways, very, very subtle design critique. Other than that, I love the sign, but hey, I'm the design guy. I got to point these things out. Friends, there are big changes coming to the Main Street Cinema. It'll be closing real soon on the 15th and 16th so that it'll be ready for the Disneyland 70th anniversary when a documentary about the Sherman Brothers will start playing inside of the cinema. For one, I'm very excited about this entertainment offering, adding a little bit more of realism to Main Street. It's always fun when there's a new reason to visit some of the old classics and maybe to get some fans to explore a location that they've never given much thought to as they're just so busy running to the next big thing or the next ride. So major shout out to whoever thought of this one. I love the way you're thinking. So an important thing to keep in mind, even though Tinkerbell only does meet and greets 2 times a day, like a morning shift and a late morning shift, you are free to come back here to explore, have your own photo session, and just kind of chill out. This is typically a kind of a quiet spot away from all of the hubbub of the hub. Beth and I have hung out here several nights, taking photos and just kind of had a more relaxing vibe because she hates people. And it's as nice as it is to have these decorations back in the park, I do have to point out that there's a little dent in the teacup that didn't get fixed. But it is nice to see this area back open, to get to see the Pixie teacup, all of the decorations. Like, it's a really fun spot to come in, and I might even say a little bit more fun when it's not a meet and greet, when you get to explore it on your own and your little ones get to crawl around the flowers, and an amazing photo spot. Guarantee you, you'll walk out of here with some really fantastic photos. Always enjoy these like explore it at your own leisure type of spots in the park where you can kind of do your own thing at your own pace. Everybody at Disney's different. I would say though, these explore it at your own pace type things doesn't hurt to be courteous and realize when you're maybe overstaying your stay and not sharing it with everyone else. I waited over 20 minutes to still not be able to take a photo of the teacup because that's how long the photo shoot was taking. So, you know I'm in the park all the time. I know I'm filming and creating content in here, but I always try to be very courteous to everyone around me and realize that it's all here for all of us to share. Matterhorn report. This attraction closed on May 5th, which means that we are coming up on 2 months of it being closed during the summer season. This wasn't anything Disney intended on doing. It was something they were forced to do. 2 months into it being closed, no indications of it coming back soon. All right, friends, maybe I spoke a little too soon because I don't know if you can hear it on my microphone, but I can hear it with my ears. that the sound of the Matterhorn has returned to this area, as well as there was a giant shaft that had been created right over my shoulder to allow workers to scale up the building to do repairs and obviously to take equipment up and down. That has been removed, so maybe we're closer to having the Matterhorn back than many people were letting on to. And more good news, the giant scaffolding shaft in the backside or front side of the Matterhorn, the area that you load on and off the attraction, it has been removed as well. So maybe this is getting ready to come back online, and that would be fantastic. The park just feels different when the Matterhorn is alive, adding all of that fun right into the core of Walt's original Magic Kingdom. And for me personally, the best news is all of my research will carry over until the next time it comes down. In fact, this will give me the perfect window to understand if there is a pattern on it opening, closing, and how long it's closed for each time. I am stoked that this might be back sooner than later, because I had heard it was going to be a while. 2 months, 2.5 months, that's nothing in Matterhorn years. And by the way, I'm going to the real Matterhorn this December. Fingers crossed that World Events don't cancel that, but right now that's the plan. Star Tours is the first of many attractions going down in the month of July. I believe there's 7 altogether. Interesting that they just didn't hold off a week or two to let this be here for the big celebration of 70 years. But there's so much maintenance going on. I'm sure they're staggering it all out so they can get all the crews where they need to be in the time that they need to be there to make sure everything happens. Nothing major, I think, is happening here, and an annual refurbishment. Do enjoy that all of the attractions get their annual biannual once over to make them always feel pristine, but never fun when it's your vacation that's happening during. I fully understand that. Turns out there's big money in the beret business because Ray redid his roof. Good to see it back to being green, although, is it artificial turf this time around? Is that real or not? I'm gonna have to go closer to find out. It looks real to me. It's real to me, damn it.
It's still real to me, damn it!
That looks just so much better. A couple little details we could massage out there, but looks so much better than the fire hazard roof that was there not too long ago. Tomorrow I'm on a plane flying out to Magic Kingdom to celebrate the final day of the Rivers of America out in Orlando. Hopefully you'll show up on Monday to watch whatever that day turns out. There's horrible storm in the forecast. Tons of fans probably want to come out. Like, it's already proven to be a very unpredictable and epic day. I'll be there all day long Sunday capturing the magic for you and bringing that to you on this channel on Monday. I hope to see you there. Maybe I'll swing by Millview Lane while I'm out at Disney World and say hi to Admiral Joe Fowler's old residence, because that's what this sign is a tribute to. Oh, fascinating. I wonder why this isn't full of people. Oh, and the bridge too. Wow, what's different? Huh. It's almost like something improved over the last week. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's busy and there's plenty of people there, but it's almost like it was designed to hold the appropriate amount of people if there was only one line for the entire attraction. Interesting. Last week when we were here was the last days of Pirates of the Caribbean being on Lightning Lane. It's now been removed from Lightning Lane. You know what else has been removed? All of the people flooding through the streets of New Orleans Square. It's back to being the way it was designed to be. I personally think Lightning Lane doesn't cost enough. It's missing a zero, so therefore less people would use it. I really don't think that it's a benefit to the customer. I think it's a tax on the customer. Pay just $20, $30 more if you want to have a good time. If not, deal with it. I don't like it. And I think there's always proof that it just backs up the park instead of the idea we're all in this together, unless you spend a lot of money. Super exciting to see that the Enchanted Tiki Room is back. Courtyard looks beautiful. So many great storytelling details in here. And one of my honors in my journey through my Disney fandom was getting to interview the late Rolly Crump. I remember sitting at his dinner table down in Oceanside, and he told me all about making the tiki gods for the Enchanted Tiki Room. And it's when he explained to me, Walt Disney, who was his boss and creative director, he kind of just assigned everybody one piece of the puzzle. And you didn't really know what the entire puzzle was, but Walt did. And Walt trusted that each individual would do their part and do it better than anyone, and that all the pieces would snap together in the end. I think that's a really strong story to think about how they were able to get Disneyland done inside of 1 year, an enormous amount of trust that everybody would do their part and all the pieces would come together in the end. Friends, before I part ways, I want to wish each and every one of you a very happy and safe 4th of July. May we never forget that Walt's love of America inspired Disneyland, and Walt's love for hard work, imagination, and dreams is what made Disneyland real. And may we never forget that Walt's optimism in America inspired a place where no matter who you are or where you came from, you're always welcome at Disneyland. There's no strangers inside of Disneyland, only friends. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate you. I'll see you real soon from the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World.